Invasion of Gozo 1551. The invasion of Gozo took place in July 1551 and was accomplished by the Ottoman Empire against the island of Gozo, following an unsuccessful attempt to conquer nearby Malta on 18 July 1551. It was followed by a victorious campaign with the siege of Tripoli. Attack Malta. The commander of the Ottoman fleet was Sinan Pasha, accompanied by Salar Rise and Dragut Rise. The Ottomans initially landed on Malta at Marsanxit, and a force of 10,000 men marched upon Birgu and Fort St. Angelo, but they realized that these were too well fortified to be conquered easily. Therefore, the Ottomans turned their attention to Mdina, looting and burning the villages on the way. Meanwhile, the knights in Mdina, under the command of Fra Viliganian, asked the people living in the villages. When the Ottomans arrived, they discovered a large garrison defending the city, so they decided against the plan of attacking the city since they did not want to fight a long siege. Meanwhile, a relief fleet attacked the Ottoman ships anchored at Marsanxit. Gozo? Gozo. The Ottoman then decided to attack nearby Gozo, which was under the command of Governor Jalatian de Sessa. After a few days of bombardment, de Sessa attempted to negotiate with Sinan Pasha, however the latter rejected the terms. A few days later the citadel capitulated. About 300 people escaped from the citadel by climbing down its walls and hid from the Ottomans. The other 6,000 people, including Governor de Sessa and the knights, were taken captive and ended up in slavery, being sailed to Tripoli on 30 July. The Ottomans only spared a monk and 40 elderly Gazatins. According to legend, one of the defenders named Bernardo Dupuo, also known as Bernardo da Font or Dupuo, fought bravely when Ottomans breached the city walls and killed his own wife and 2 daughters, preferring death over slavery before he himself was killed by the invading forces. A street in the citadel is named after him, and outside his house lies a plaque commemorating his death. Consequences. Since few Christians remained on Gozo, families from Malta were encouraged by the Order of St. John to repopulate the island. However, it took about 150 years for the population to reach Preminus 1551 levels. A few Gazatins managed to redeem themselves from slavery, such as the notable Reverend Lorenzo de Papis, who returned to Gozo in 1554. Following the attack, the order set up a commission made up of Leon Strozzi and Pietro Pardo, who were engineers, to examine the Maltese islands' fortifications and make suggestions for further improvements. The Grand Master, Juan de Holmes, increased taxation and strengthened the coastal guards, the Dijman. Following Strozzi and Pardo's commission, Fort St. Michael and Fort St. Elmo were built to better defend the Grand Harbor. Bastions at Mdina and Birgu were strengthened, and the fortifications of Singlia were built. The failure to take all of the Maltese islands was also one of the causes of the Great Siege of Malta in 1565. 2 other unsuccessful attacks were made on Gozo in 1613 and 1709. During the sacking of Gozo, the archives of the Università were destroyed by the Ottomans. The only surviving Preminus 1551 records relating to Gozo are a few documents in the notarial archives as well as some records in the archives of Palermo, Sicily. Legacy. A reenactment of the invasion was made by grade 5 students of San Andrea School in 1997, and a video entitled A Tale of a Gazatin City was released. The students played the roles of Turkish invaders, knights, or Maltese peasants, and filming was done on the schooner Charlotte Louise. Din El Art Helwa produced a musical account of the invasion at St. Michael's Bastion in the Citadel on 31 July 2009. This was centered on the legend of Don Bernardo de Apua. In 2013, a memorial to the siege was set up at the gardens of Villa Rundle in Victoria, Gozo. The Siege of Gozo features in Marthy's Fenech's Book 8 Pointed Cross 2011, part of her historical fictional series set in Malta. The Invasion of Gozo features prominently in Dorothy Dunnett's book The Disorderly Knights 1966, part of her fictional series Lyman Chronicles. Notes